we'll get going. Okay, and welcome back to part 2 of Man versus Bear with my guest, James. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, before we started recording, we were talking about how I personally hate that there's this disconnect with men and women right now. It feels like in dating. We talked about this in the last 4 episodes, probably.
That's right.
That we recorded. So back to Man versus Bear. You had something that you wanted to share.
Yeah. I have some thoughts on that. So, continuing the conversation that we were having last episode, we were discussing some of how these types of conversations are facilitating the dialogue that I think we need to have around these issues, right? Mm-hmm. As I mentioned before, I think social media and all that stuff is primarily damaging, but in these instances, it can certainly be beneficial to have these types of conversations. On that note, though, social media itself, I think part of the reason we are having a lot of these conversations is because things just aren't the way they were when my parents were growing up, when your parents were growing up, even when we were growing up, where you had to have actual social skills to be able to do anything. If you wanted to go out with a girl that you liked, you couldn't just slide into her DMs, right? You had to go up to her, ask her phone number, give her a call, make small talk, flirt, banter, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think with social media, a lot of, especially young people, have lost the ability to develop those social skills and thus develop picking up on the social cues during conversation with somebody that allow them to gauge how that conversation is going. And that's a lost art, it seems like, because that's why I think you have people at the gym or people at work or wherever not being able to just have those kind of, hey, how's it going? I'm James. What's your name? And you can pick up if they're feeling it or not, if they're into it or not. If they aren't continuing the conversation, they may not be interested, which is okay, right?
Yeah.
But I think, like I said, I think it's been a lost art, because now all everybody does, or a lot of people do, is just sit behind a screen, and that's their personality. Mm-hmm. It used to be like, oh, online is a small part of who I am. Now real life is a small part of who I am.
Absolutely. Even as a mother of 3 boys, I remember taking them and their friends, I'd take them to, I was that mom, the soccer mom, whatever.
Okay, yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Their basketball games, whatever. And so all of the boys would be in the back of the SUV. And they're not talking, they're texting each other. Yeah. Sitting next to them, right. They're texting.
I know.
And so it got lost. Yeah, they're all adults now. It got lost years ago. And I think that's why, how many arguments have you been in because of a text?
Quite a few. You can't read the inflection in what somebody's saying, the tone that somebody's saying. And sometimes it is easier. It's easier just to text somebody. And a lot of times that's fine. It's sufficient. Mm-hmm. But if it's a real conversation, I think those need to be in person. If you're trying to, hit somebody up, it should be in person. However, I understand with the rise of connectivity with everybody, it's not, again, how our parents had it, where your options are somebody in your town. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's
close.
Anybody in the world. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to fly to a different place to just try and get a text or somebody who I may not have ran into otherwise, who I don't maybe know, because people develop these friendships on social media and they kind of get to know people's personalities based on things that they post and all that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in that case, you're sending a DM, you're sending a text, you're sending whatever.
And it can be taken anyway.
Right.
And I will fully admit guilt to this. There are a lot of times I misread messages from men and immediately think, what the hell? What is my belly's growling? But why is he saying this? What? You just want to hook up with me, don't you? And then there are a lot of times also that I'll take a step back and reread it before I will respond. Because I know me, I'm reacting out of emotion, right?
Sure.
And I mean, this happened with my buddy Brennan.
Yeah.
You know, we're texting and I'm like, I need a minute. I need a minute, bro, because I'm triggered right now and I'm losing my shit and I don't want to be an asshole.
Key and Peele did a great skit on this. I don't know how long ago it was, but you can find it on YouTube. They did something where misinterpreting texts. Yeah, it was pretty funny. But you were telling me about a text specifically about this guy that sent you something like, "Hey, we're gonna go have some fun," right? And it is sort of the man versus bear example too, because at least when the guy sent it, because I've been, I guess, guilty, quote unquote, of this as well, of sending that type of text of like, oh, you know, we're gonna have a fun evening, right? And I'm thinking like, oh yeah, we're gonna go play mini golf or we're gonna go karaoke or something like that. But on the other side, a lot of women see it as, oh, this guy just wants to fuck me, right? Like he said, oh, let's have some fun. Fun equals fucking, which, yeah, I mean, that is fun.
Right.
But at the same time,
we agree on that.
It's not always what we're trying to say. We might be saying, hey, let's go out and have fun. Because if I was to say that same thing to my guy friends, like, hey, dude, let's go out and we're going to have a fun evening. I don't think he's thinking like, oh my God, my buddy wants to fuck me. Like, no, we're going to go out and have fun.
Right.
Exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm guilty of that. But why? Because it has been true in the past.
Yeah. And
you know? So it has.
I get it.
They have meant it that way. And I get it all the time still.
Yeah.
All the time. And we're never going to stop those types of people either. Like, whatever. But I try to look at it differently. I will say lately I've been pretty like, because I'm in a different place in my dating life and barely putting myself back out there. I'm not one to hook up. I'm not like, I want someone to get to know me first.
Yeah.
And
understandable.
So when they immediately say that, I am a little defensive.
Sure.
You know, and I shouldn't be, because I have been meeting great men, and attracting great men into my life that I feel safe with. But it's all of those others that are just, I'm like, fucking go find the girl that's okay with this.
Yeah, and that's the
because
thing.
There are.
That's the thing too, is there's a lot of misunderstandings that happen. Just like you said, you know, go find the girl who's looking for that. You know, if you're just trying to hook up, go find the girl that's looking for that, because they are out there. You're right, they are out there, and there's other people.
And no shame.
No, and other people are looking for a relationship, and there's nothing wrong with that too. I think everybody's trying to find, you know, the other person who is also looking for what they're looking for at that time, and that can change over the course of time, which is why I think it's important to, yes, everybody has a first impression of somebody, but also I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. You probably aren't either. I'm not going to be the same person in 5 years that I am right now. And so those things can change. So, and that's where I think, especially things such as, are we dating the same guy, or all of those types of groups on social media, right? This, you know, this guy, all this guy wanted to do is fuck me. Okay, well, did you want to just fuck him? No, I wanted a relationship. Okay, well, go find that. Doesn't mean that he's wrong for wanting to do that, right?
There are plenty of men that I fully appreciate will come right out and tell me this is where I'm at and this is all I'm after. I respect you for that. I'm not your girl.
Yeah, and that's
but
fine.
I respect you for that, for being honest and telling me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go on some Facebook group page and say, this motherfucker.
Right. Because there are women, and I've met women like this. I'm not looking for a relationship, but I still have physical needs and wants and all that
Right.
thing, and I'm only looking for this or that.
Yeah. No shame. We're adults.
And that's where I think the judgment of if somebody doesn't fall into the box that you're looking for, all of a sudden they're wrong, as opposed to they're just different and not what I'm looking for. I will say, you know, there's people out there, mainly guys, that will shoot their shot, right? Because we're the ones that typically are expected to approach. But that kind of goes back to what we were talking about picking up on social cues and social media and how the lost art of being able to talk to somebody. A lot of guys will shoot their shot right at the target and then not pick up on the cue that she may not be interested. So the first shot goes at the target. The second shot is into your foot. And the third shot is into your brain, because by that time they don't want to talk to you ever again.
Yeah. We're like, did you not get the hint? But that's where I'm terrible. If I'm not interested, I have the hardest time after a few conversations saying, or even a first date, saying, you know what, you're just not for me.
Yeah.
Like, I want to find an excuse. And,
Yeah.
and I know it is terrible. I know this. But I don't want to hurt people's feelings.
You don't want to hurt people's feelings. I'm the same way. If I go out on a date with somebody and I'm not feeling it, and usually, for at least me and my experience, and I think probably a lot of guys, which is why we don't want to take you out to $100 dinner, which is why we don't want to take you to, whatever. Because I'm going to know in the first probably 5 minutes or less of meeting you if this is going to go anywhere. And we're trying to be courteous to you guys too, because if we're going to know that, we don't want to make you sit through an hour or 2 hours, whatever, of us, maybe not being interested. You know what I mean?
I think we've discussed this in the last episodes, but my ideal first date is coffee.
Yeah, something quick, low stakes.
Yes.
It can be over in 20 minutes.
If needed.
If needed. If you want to go longer, then obviously great. You're feeling each other, you're having a good conversation, and all that. And that's great. And, especially for people who are looking for a more, long-term relationship type of thing. But yeah, there are people out there that just, they want to bang. I'm horny, you're horny, let's do this.
Yeah.
But don't shame those people, because just because they were looking for something different than you were doesn't mean that's wrong.
Right. I 100% agree. And I hear stories from said groups. And we probably need to do a whole episode on that one. I've just been trying to be delicate.
Yeah, go ahead.
Get hate mail.
Come on, bring it.
Because I completely disagree with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, while it is nice if a man is truly dangerous, and have like bad experiences, for a woman to say, look, just be cautious.
Yeah.
I agree, that's
I
nice.
understand.
But on the other hand, I don't think it's fair. Because my experience with a guy is going to be totally different than another woman's.
Yeah.
I think, in a relationship. We may just not be a good fit, but
right.
he could be great for another woman.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like, I have an ex that we're friends, but when we were dating, it was oil and water. We fought all the time. We just did not see eye to eye, but now that we're just friends, we get along great. Would I go up to a woman that he's dating and say, oh, he's an asshole, all we did was fight? No.
Yeah.
That's just he and I. It just didn't work.
The puzzle pieces weren't fitting.
Yes. And so I disagree with that. And I could spend days on this topic, actually.
Yeah.
And have women hating me.
Well, and without dismissing people's experiences of somebody, I think you're absolutely right in the fact that just because it didn't work out with you and another person doesn't mean that that other person is bad or that you're bad. It just might have meant that you're not a match. You're not a match right now. There's certain things that just aren't clicking where it would click or would just be different with another person. And you both might be better off going your separate ways forever, for a while, for a little bit, whatever. But yeah, that's why I think a lot of those websites and forums and groups can turn very toxic, is because just because you had an experience with somebody that didn't work out doesn't mean that they're a bad person or you're a bad person. It just might not have been the right fit at the right time.
Yeah, even with my ex-husband who was physically abusive, he's remarried, and I've in the last 7 years had a lot of women ask me, well, aren't you going to reach out to her and tell her? No. She's now been with him way longer than I was. But no, I just hope that he treats her better and he learned from it. He did go to therapy and everything after. But no, I'm not going to reach out to her. Now, if she came to me and asked me what my experience was, I would tell her.
Yeah.
But a fair response would be, but that's just he and I. It's a little bit different with something as drastic as physical abuse.
Yeah, that I agree with.
But just saying like I've been in a lot of relationships, and clearly they didn't work out for one reason or another. The majority of them, the next woman they dated, they married. In fact, 90% of them.
Like, good luck, Christine.
So,
good
yeah.
luck, Chuck.
I know. Or they lose limbs or something.
Oh, no.
Just kidding. But, no, it's crazy. I don't know why that is. Maybe they were more ready than I was at that time.
Yeah, maybe.
For something serious. But I would never, ever go to the next girlfriend and say, oh, he did A, B, C, and D to me. You should not date him.
Yeah.
Or blast them on social media. Even when I have spoken of my experiences, I'm not saying a name. People that know me know who it is, but we are not connected on social media. I'm not connected with his children, his family, nothing like that, to where it's going to affect him in his personal life. I don't think that's fair. Should I press charges? Yes, but that's a different, side of things. But I'm not out to ruin their life because I had a bad experience with them. And I expect the same.
Yeah, I would expect the same too. And I mean, I've been guilty of this before, and it's something that I don't think that I should have done, nor do I think that she should have done, or anybody should do, quite honestly. Is badmouth your partner, because your ex-partner, what have you. And the reason I say that is because you obviously got together at some point because you liked each other. You stayed together because hopefully were in love with each other and loved each other, and you were picking this person. So, and you were continuing to pick this person. And so if you're bad mouthing the other person, I mean, it's also kind of a reflection on you. And like I said, I've been guilty of this before, and I do feel bad about it because it's somebody that I still care about, and I want to see them doing well. And like we were talking about, just because it wasn't the right fit or extenuating circumstances at the time doesn't make either one of us bad. It just might have not been the right fit at that particular moment,
Yeah, I think we can, if we're being honest with ourselves, we've all been guilty of that.
Yeah, I think we are, and I think part of that is the kind of the healing process that you're trying to. A lot of times when people break up, there's still very strong feelings there, love there, and I think a lot of that is just psychologically. You're trying to put the person in the worst light you can so that you can feel better about yourself and about the situation. And I